12 Keys for Initiate. 1. Remembrance. The fire that devours illusion. And now you stand at the gate between what you believed and what you are. To remember who you truly are, everything you falsely thought you were must burn. This is not poetic, it is surgical. The ego breaks open, the structures you build collapse. God may feel like absence, friends may leave, certainties die, and still the key calls you. You are not this pain, but you must go through it to retrieve the you who is hidden within it. Here, remembrance is descent, not up into light, but down into truth beneath the mask. It hurts because it is real, and because you are real beneath the hurt. 2. Surrender, the fire of undoing. Now, surrender is no longer optional, it is commanded by the soul. Everything begins to fall apart, not to harm, but to burn away the false. The initiate often feels abandoned by God here, but in truth, this is the most intimate embrace. The initiate must let go of identity, safety, and expectation, must learn to kneel, not in submission to dogma, but in reverence for truth. Must say, I do not know who I am, but I am willing to be shown. This is the agony and grace of Key 2. You are not given answers, you are made empty, so you can receive them when they come. Here, surrender is alchemical. It strips you, it frees you, and through your ashes, something holy begins to rise. 3. Truth. Truth as flame and sword. Now it begins to burn. Truth is no longer an idea, it is the force that shatters illusion. In your relationships, your identity, and your path. It does not ask for permission, it comes with fire. It says, this is what is real, all else must go. At this stage, truth is often painful because it demands that you let go of what you wanted to be true. You may feel betrayed by teachings, by people, and by your own past. But this is sacred betrayal. Truth never betrays you, it only betrays the false self that pretended to be you. This is where key 3 cuts deepest and heals most fully. 4. Devotion. The fire of attachment burned away. Now the false devotions are burned. The teacher fails you. The relationship ends. The divine you thought you knew becomes silent. This is not punishment, it is refinement. The soul is being stripped of conditional love so it can find the kind that remains when all else leaves. You ask, can I stay in love when the object of devotion disappears? Can I offer my devotion not because I feel safe, but because it is my nature to love? This is where your heart breaks and opens wider than it ever was. 5. Courage. The trial by fire. Now the soul is tested, not only with discomfort, but with true challenge. You are asked to face your own shadow, to lose people who don't see you, to burn roles you once depended on. Here, courage is not glamorous. It is excruciating, but it is also refining. You cry and still continue. You doubt and still move. You break, but you do not retreat. At this stage, courage becomes the force that forges identity beyond survival. You say, even if I lose everything, I will not betray my soul. And this vow begins to crystallize you. 6. Presence. The depth of distraction. In this stage, presence becomes survival. The initiate is plunged into the deep inner world, and presence is no longer optional. The mind can no longer fix it. The past cannot be returned to. The future cannot be predicted. Only here, only now, in the breath, in the body, in the pain, and in the truth. Presence becomes the only safe place because everything else has begun to fall away. You learn to sit in fire. You learn to stay when it hurts. You learn to feel without flinching. And from this, you become real. 7. Compassion, the crucible of the heart. Now, compassion becomes real, because now you must meet your own darkness. You rage, you break, you remember things you wanted to forget. You confront the parts of you you once hated, and in the depths, a miracle begins. You do not turn away from yourself, you offer mercy, and you stay. This stage is difficult, but it is where compassion is formed. You begin to see, if I can love this within me, then I can love it in another. Compassion becomes real because it has been tested. 8. Service, the purification of service. Here, false motives are burned. You begin to see where you were serving to be seen, loved, or to be worthy. Old identities crumble. The healer who needs to fix, the Savior who must be needed, the spiritual one who must prove value. This is painful, but it is also liberating. You begin to ask, if no one applauded, would I still serve? This is the refining fire, where service becomes less about what you do and more about who you are willing to be. 9. Radiance, the stripping of false light. Here, radiance is tested in the fire. The illusions are burned, the masks that spark admiration, but not truth, the spiritual persona, the need to appear high vibe. You confront your shadows, you lose what made you look good, you feel ugly, raw, and exposed. And then you begin to shine from somewhere deeper, not from image, not from lightness, but from authenticity. This is radiance that comes through the wound, not around it. It is the kind that glows in silence, that moves mountains not by force, but by frequency. 10. Integrity, the fire of self honesty. Now comes the burning. You are asked to let go of every way you've compromised, every time you betrayed your inner knowing just to survive, please, or be safe. It is painful, but this stage is where your inner spine begins to form. You face yourself, you ask hard questions, you begin to walk away from what no longer resonates, even if it costs you. Integrity here is not tidy, it is fierce commitment to authenticity, even in chaos. You begin to live for truth more than comfort, and this marks the true becoming. 11. Humility, the humbling fire. Here the soul is broken open. You realize you can't control the journey, you can't outrun your shadows, and you can't achieve your way to God. So you surrender, not by choice, but by necessity. You cry, you let go, you fall to your knees, and then something sacred begins to rise. Humility here is earned, not adopted. It is wrought through fire. You begin to know, I am not in control, but I am held. This is the soil of reverence. 12. Return. Returning through the ashes, reborn. You return to your wounds, but they no longer define you. You return to the places that burned you, but now carry fire that gives life. You hold your scars as symbols of alchemy. You walk in your darkness without fear. You are proof that death is not the end, that descent is part of the path. You are not healed instead of broken. You are healed through having been broken, and your return sanctifies the pain of others.